entrepreneurs and visionaries. Welcome to another Monday Night Live training, where your journey to business success accelerates. Join us for insights, strategies, and tools to elevate your business while keeping your budget in mind. It's time to transform your passion into profit. Your host, Corey von Bill Foster, is about to take the stage. Get ready to be inspired and empowered. The future of your business starts now.
All right. Hello. Happy Monday. I have a happy another Monday Night Live. I'm trying to figure out how to say that. It was a little bit of a tongue twister, but what's up, y'all? That's easier to say. I am your host, Corey von Bill Foster, and I am the creator of the Monday Night Lives. Every single Monday, we are here at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, wherever you are currently watching. And we are talking about things that you should be thinking about when it comes to growing and scaling your small business. A little bit about myself before we jump into the live today to give people a chance to get on. And guys, I am in the chat today, the comment section. So if you want to say hello, feel free to do so. Also, you can put a question, a comment, a resource in there. If I don't answer it while I'm on the live, I promise I will go back and do so. But again, a little bit about me. One, we've been doing these Monday Night Lives now for almost 3 years. And in 3 years, I think we've only missed one, right? And it was recent. And so this is something that I'm super passionate about, having this accessible way for you all to have training. It's kind of a cornerstone of what our business is about. Besides these Monday Night Lives, we do a little bit of something extra than that. We also, I am also a business coach specializing in all things business implementation. That's right, getting things done in your business. I have been coaching now for a few years, and even before I was getting paid to coach, I was still coaching. And something that I know to be true is that a lot of you guys know what you should be doing in business, right? I say this day in and day out. You know what you should be doing, but for some reason you're not implementing. And it could be that you have some mindset things that need to be taken care of. It could be that you lack some of the skill set when it comes to business. It could be that you lack some tools to help you automate. It could also be that you need some team members. You need some outsourcing support. And so we are here to kind of look at your vision, look at what you're trying to accomplish, look at the projects that are on the docket, and help you actually prioritize and create a plan that can be implemented in your business to get these things done and to move into the next part of your business journey. On top of that, I'm also the CEO of iRock Marketable Business Solutions, which is a small business marketing firm that is based in Virginia, but we service clients from coast to coast and up into Canada. We've done for you marketing services, so logos, websites, email campaigns, social media management, VA support, and more. So if you're a small business owner looking for a trusted brand to help outsource some of these items to, we are here for you. Now, so every single Monday, I told you we have these Monday Night Lives. We also, because I realize I don't talk about this a lot, we also have a podcast, right? Some people I think this is a podcast. It's not. This is just one of our shows. We actually have a new show launching. It should be later this year, if not early next year, that it'll come to what is the word? Fruition? I can't even say it, but it'll be here either at the end of the year or early next year. But we also have a podcast. And the podcast can be found on most podcast streaming platforms, but it also is available visually on YouTube. So if you've ever wanted to see what our podcast looks like, definitely check it out there. Our podcast is interview-based, so I am interviewing other experts. We're having real transparent conversations, real-time conversations about business in different areas, whether it's systems, whether it's automation, whether it's mindset, whether it's wellness, pricing, product design, copywriting, and more. So if you're looking for even more support in a very affordable, accessible way, definitely check out our podcast. And to find that, just go to the iRock Marketable Business Solutions YouTube page, and you'll be able to find it there, along with the replays from our Monday Night Lives. So each week we have a different topic, but each month we kind of have a theme. So this month, the month of October, we have been talking about leads, right? Getting leads, getting people to kind of come into your business ecosystem. social media is great, right? But I always say when you think about social media, it's more of a, you put it out and hope people see it, right? It is not a very proactive way to really connect with your audience, right? It's like, hey, if they happen to be on this platform, maybe they'll see it and maybe they'll engage. But what we know to be true, and if you don't know now, having a way to really capture the audience and then get them into an email list is really going to be your bread and butter, because when they're on your email list, you are able to proactively reach out to that person and say, hey, Tina, hey, Jamal, hey, Sam, and then be able to nurture them in a way that's very different than just hoping that they come across you on social media. Right. And so a way to kind of get this process done, getting them off of other people's platform into your own ecosystem, is through lead magnets and things of that nature. And so we are going to be talking about leads kind of all this month. And so today's topic is from interest to action, nurturing leads the right way. Because I think that if you've been with us on this journey this month, right, then you understand the importance of a lead magnet. I think it was last week or the week before, I can't remember which, we talked about like what is a lead magnet. We gave you some options and things like that. So if you're unsure of what these terms mean, definitely go back and check out that video, because we don't have tons of time to talk about it today. But once you create this lead magnet, right, what next? Because some of you, not gonna mention no names, you will have a lead magnet. You will get people to sign up for your lead magnet, and then they'll be on your email list. And then I'll ask, when was the last time you emailed your folks? And you'll be like, ugh. Right? I don't know. It's been a while. Or I'll say, how often do you email your audience? And you'll say, well, every blue moon, right? That is not an effective way to nurture your audience. So we're going to talk about the nurturing aspect, because yes, it's great to have a 10,000 person contact, contact list or email list. But if you're not nurturing them, they're still not going to be able to convert to paid clients. All right. So we're going to cover three kind of main parts of this tonight. The first thing is I want to show you how to move leads from kind of casual followers to committed clients, right? I'm going to also teach you how to build trust through consistent, intentional follow-up. And then lastly, I want to help you use systems and tools to manage leads without dropping the ball. Because that's what happens. Like, again, you guys know what you should be doing. You should be building an email list. But what happens after that, right? What happens when you have leads? What happens even if you're not even using a lead magnet? Maybe you're leading them not just your email list, but to an offer, right? To a discovery call or a sales call. What happens if you're dropping the ball at any stage of that process? Well, I'll tell you, you're not getting paid, right? You're not getting a client. They're falling off. They're stuck on the wayside, and they're never to be seen again. So let's talk about this. Let's start with the first objective, showing you how to move your leads from kind of casual followers to committed clients. That kind of goes back to our lead magnet, right? We know for most individuals that come across you, you got to do three things, right? You got to build know, like, and trust. Know, like, and trust. All right. And so a lot of the know is the visibility part, the awareness part of the process, where you're posting. Maybe you're doing blogs. Maybe you are speaking someplace, maybe you're on a podcast, maybe you're featured in a magazine, right? Somehow, some way, these individuals have an opportunity to be aware of you and or your brand. Okay, but what happens next? Well, hopefully you provide some type of link, QR code, virtual business card, something, so that they can move from knowing you exist to taking a next step. Right. And oftentimes this is where quite a few people drop the ball. You don't tell people next step, right? You'll have a great conversation with somebody and you'll be like, all right, hope to talk to you soon. But you didn't book a call, you didn't give a phone number, you didn't do anything. You just, I guess, hope they remember you and reach out some kind of way, right? Same thing in your social media. You're posting social media, you're getting the likes, and you're like, yay, but you don't have a call to action in your social media. So they don't know to book a call, to go to that link to purchase that product. And so they're falling again by the wayside. And so that first step is really to think about, how do I ensure that when people see my brand, they see me, that they take action to move further into my ecosystem? And again, that could be a lead magnet where they're giving you their name and email address. It could be them using your booking link to book a call. It could be giving you their phone number, and then some of you are traditional, y'all just be like, hey, I'm gonna call you, right? Whatever it is, make sure that when you think about your client journey, that you know what that next step is. Like I said, it could be a variety of things, but make sure you know what that next step is, so that again, people who are interested, excited, you built that note, they like you a little bit, they like you enough to take a next step, that they don't fall by the wayside. Okay. So that's one thing to think about. And I think this is a really important step because I think it gets overlooked a lot, right? We get excited. We'll go to a networking event. We'll have a ton of good conversations, and then nothing comes of it, right? We'll put out a lead magnet and then never email. I told you that, right? Nothing happens. We'll put out social media content, be so proud of ourselves, and then not put a call to action, right? So all of those things is us dropping the ball. It's not that people aren't interested in what we offer. It's not that people don't want to buy from us. It's literally that we are not kind of taking the reins of the process and saying, hey, here's the next step. Let's move forward in this journey together. Let's build together. All right. So that's something that I want you guys to start thinking about, because it's not always, oh, what cool software can I buy to get this done? It's like, first of all, think about the process, right? Draw the process out. I am big on drawing it out, especially, and I'll say this too, especially when you have a team. Sometimes it's nice to get some paper and pen or a whiteboard and literally draw it out linearly, right? Okay, if a person, these are all the ways that the person, look, I don't think I have so many hands. Here we go. Like I got a background thing on, but basically make a line, and in that column, think of all the ways a person can get aware of you or your brand, right? Then in the next column, matter of fact, I'll probably skip a little bit of space, but the next column, say, okay, how can I nurture that relationship? Like, what's the next step? And then keep doing it all the way until you get paid, if nothing else. Now, there are some steps after it, but for the purposes of this conversation, we'll stop at paid, right? So what are all the phases? How can you nurture them along the way? And it could be something, I'll give you an example. They see me on social media and I offer them some type of quick win that's like a webinar. We'll say it's a webinar. So the person sees my post, they see my call to action, also known as a CTA, and it says, it's giving them a little taste of something. They're like, oh, this is interesting. Maybe it's something like how to win back 10 hours a week in your business. Cool, right? They're like, oh, I want to win back 10 hours of time in my business every week. So they go to that link that you put in the bottom of your social media caption. They see that they have to put their name and email address in. They put it in and they get the video, right? They watch the webinar. Now in the webinar, I'm introducing myself. I am bringing it. I'm giving all the value. I'm teaching them how to win back that time. And at the end, I have another call to action that say, you know what? If this helped you get 10 hours back in your business, let me show you how to get another 20 to 40 hours a month out of your business as well, for in less than 10 minutes a day or something, something silly like that. But right. And then I'll say, in order to do that, you need to book a call. Right. That's the next little part of the journey. And guess what? Some of them people are going to book that call. Right. And it's a discovery call, a sales call, whatever you want to call it. So people, they call. And we have a discussion, right? And I have a script and I'm gonna go through it and I'm gonna understand what they're talking about. I'm gonna empathize with them. I'm gonna show them that I'm a good listener. I'm gonna let them know that based on what they said, I have a solution for them. And maybe we're just gonna pretend it's a group coaching program, right? A 12-week group coaching program. And guess what? They say yes. Then they purchase. That's the steps of that client journey. Now, for some of you, it's gonna be a little more intricate, but I wanted to give you an idea of how it could flow. Now, if that is the client journey, this is where people mess up. They'll have those pieces, but what happens if somebody says no or doesn't continue with that process? So let's start back at the beginning, right? So the person's on social media. They see my post, but they're busy. Their kid cries. Their husband, is asking where's dinner. They got to get dressed to go somewhere, and they scroll past it. They didn't hit the button. They didn't even really read it. They just saw it, right? So now what? Do I quit? No, I keep posting. This is something we just had a recent event over the past weekend, and one of our speakers talked about this, but I talk about it a lot with my clients too, is this idea that some people have that you are bothering or almost spamming people if you post a lot. And it's like, no, you have to realize that one person is not going to see every post you post. So if you're only posting like 3 times a week, somebody may never see any of those posts, right? And then if somebody did happen to see that first post, maybe you posted on Monday, but then again, they got distracted, life happened, and you don't post again until Wednesday, they might not see it, right? They may not see your Friday post. And so it's important to continue to post so that people, when life happens, they don't just fall off and you're able to be like, oh, there they are, right? So maybe they got busy, they missed your Monday post, but they saw your Tuesday post. They read it and they were like, oh, I want to go to this webinar. They register, but guess what? Life happens, right? And you're like, dang, like they registered, but they didn't come. This is another place where we as business owners need to say, this is where some people are going to fall off. They're going to register for this free thing and they're not going to go to it. They're not going to watch it. So do we have any way to nurture them, even if they didn't fully take the next step? And that could be, hey, sending them email reminders, right? If they signed up on Monday, but the thing isn't until Friday that they can access it, then sending a reminder saying, hey, don't forget, mark your calendar. Here's a calendar invite. Oh, it starts in 2 hours. Oh, it starts in 1 hour. Oh, we're starting now. These kind of quick emails help you increase the conversion rate of people actually showing up for that next step in the journey, right? And a lot of you are like, dang, I ain't doing that work. Yes, catch these people. And granted, it's not 100%. Nothing in business we do is 100%. You're always gonna lose people. That's why when you see people talk about a client journey or funnel, it's always starts big and get smaller. It's because no matter what you do, how great you are, it's never going to be 100% where everybody is going to convert. But you'll have better conversion if you put some things in place so that you kind of capture, like have a little safety net when people fall out of the perfect client journey. So, all right, you sent messages. They actually attended your webinar. Kudos. But they didn't realize it was going to be an hour and a half. And so they only watched for the first hour. They never heard your call to action at the end. And so they never took a next step, right? They didn't. So for a lot of the software we use, especially when it comes to like webinars and things, we can see if people didn't finish, right? Or if they didn't take the follow-up action. You could send more emails. You could text them. You could call them, right? You could re-invite them to watch it again. Another piece of the puzzle to ensure that you are able to nurture these leads and not just let them fall by the wayside. Now let's pretend that the person saw the post, they saw the call to action, they registered for the webinar, they attended the webinar, they watched it all the way through. And guess what? They said, you know what? I'm gonna book that call, and then they didn't show up. Right? Boy, I'm making somebody mad today. Like, God dang it, right? For whatever reason. Sometimes I found back in the day, it used to be a lot of, because I used to really try to connect with a lot of very, very new business owners. A lot of them were so new that they weren't used to having to book meetings with folks in different time zones, right? And so they would be, you know, in mountain time or whatever, and they'd be like, oops, I thought it was at a different time, right? Now it's not so bad because I'm not working with extremely new people all the time. So once you've been in business for a while, you know, like, hey, check the times. And a lot of our systems will change the time for you anyway, right? But people just be doing whatever. Sometimes they just forget, life be happening. But all right, so the person doesn't show up to your call. What do you have in place to get them to reschedule? What do you have in place to nurture them in case maybe they decided, maybe I'm not ready to take that next step? Right. And again, it could be emails, it could be calls, it could be additional resources, but there should be something in place to nurture that audience as well. Now, if they did good and they got to the call, right, you doing your thing, you're talking to them, you're letting them know, yes, I get what you mean, I see what you need, here's the solution. And then they say, you know what, I don't know about this right now. Right? Like, you're working hard, y'all. They say, I don't know if this is what I need right now, right? You hurt because you done did all this work, but sometimes it's just not right at that moment, right? A no is not a no, it's a not right now. And so do you have something in place to continue to nurture that person, even if they weren't, you know, necessarily ready for you in this particular offer at this time? Right? Because a lot of y'all be taking stuff personal. Y'all be like, man, we was on a call, I thought we was doing good, they really needed this, and they said, no, this some bull. And I'm saying it just like I hear my clients say, it's some bull. But no, this is just business, right? This is just business. There are tons of objections that people have once they get on a sales call. And some of them are valid, some of them are, mindset issues, some of them are pricing objections, timing objections, product objections, all kind of things. But again, don't take it personal. What do you have in place to make sure that you can get them back? Maybe on a different offer, maybe at a different time, following up, maybe rescheduling for a better time, maybe sending them a discount, whatever the case may be. Do you have something in place? Right. And I know this seems like a lot, but when you draw it out based on what your system already is, and what you have in place, it makes more sense. And you will see with, business takes work. When you put in this work to kind of close these gaps, you are going to see your conversions increase. Right. If you're somebody who's like, man, I get a lot of engagement on social media, but you're seeing a dramatic decrease, right? And you're getting maybe like one booking call a month, then it's probably because you're dropping leads, right? And a lot of people will say, well, I must have a crappy product. No, don't even know what your product is because they've never made it that far in your phone, right? So take a look at that and really think about how can you nurture leads, especially thinking about like that client journey, right? And again, it's all about building value. It really is. As long as you are giving value and you're being consistent and being authentic with it, you're going to attract the right clients and eventually you are going to get sales. So don't be hard on yourself. And some of you have been in business for a while who haven't done this work to kind of go back and look at your client journey and kind of plug these holes. It's time to do so, especially because this is the time of year when you should be kind of strategic planning, figuring out what makes sense for you and your business as you think about how you're going to get people to purchase your products and services. All right, so kind of in that same vein, our next objective was to teach you how to build trust through consistent, intentional follow-up, right? It needs to be consistent. That was the first word, consistent, and it needs to be intentional. Do not waste folks' time with just random messaging here and there based on, how the wind is blowing. You need to really think about where your potential client is in their life, in their journey, based on what it is that you do, right? If I work with, let's say, let me think of an audience. If I work with truck drivers, right, who are trying to, instead of, being on the road all the time, they're trying to open up their own trucking companies, right? Get their own drivers and start their own kind of logistics company where they can send folks out. I don't know why I picked that because that's a hard one to do, but we're going to roll with it. We didn't start it, right? I want to think about what kind of value can I bring to these truck drivers, right? What kind of information I could give them, real-time information on a directory, right, of people who are like platforms where they can find people who are looking for trucking jobs. I could create a community of not just truck drivers, but logistics business owners. I could find, places that teach folks how to drive to get their CDL, like all kind of things, right? I could do these things and then I could offer that as value, saying, hey, join this community where you're going to find the people that can kind of help you get this together. But again, it has to be value driven. People don't want to just be in your network to get your newsletter once a month when you're talking about nothing, right? That's true. Like people are like, oh, I want people to read my newsletter. What's your newsletter about? Right? We don't care if it's just, a whole bunch of fluff. Like, what is the value that it's giving me? Am I learning something? Am I getting exposed to something that's going to move me forward in my business or in whatever area you specialize in? So make sure you're building trust by showing up consistently and intentionally. And consistently could look different for different folks. Some of you are posting, I'm just giving an example, like 3-4 times a day. That's what consistent is to you. Some of you are posting once a day. Now, I'm going to go back to the 3 times a day, folk. We got to do better because your competitors are doing more. Sometimes some of you are emailing, once a day. Some of you are emailing a couple times a week. Some of you are emailing like once a month. Once a month is not enough. Okay? Because again, people are not seeing everything that you put out. But you need to figure out what your kind of timeline is regarding consistency. And then make sure in whatever you're putting out that it is intentional and it makes sense for where your client is and where you want them to go. Because if everybody that I'm talking to is at point A, but what I'm talking about is like point D, That doesn't make any sense because they're trying to get from point A to point B. So you have to be really smart about what you're putting out and when you're putting it out and where you're putting those things at so that it makes sense for the audience you're trying to attract. I think even in the beginning when I started my business and I was starting to put stuff on social media, I would just be kind of throwing out different things, just kind of random. And now I'm very intentional. I have a theme for every month. I kind of know where my clients are at different parts of the year because I work with business owners. I know in January, their kind of goal settings, those New Year's resolutions. I hate New Year's resolutions, but they're doing that, right? I know that in the first quarter, they're trying to throw everything in their business. They're fired up and ready to go. I know that in the summertime, a lot of my business owners that I work with are mothers. And so in the summertime, they have family vacations, they have their kids out of school. But I do have some ed consultants. So I know I'm going to focus a lot on my ed consultants in the summer because they are trying to make that business work so they don't have to go back to that school in the fall, right? I know in the fall, this is a time to really help them with bigger things like systems and outsourcing because they have at least a few clients that have come in throughout the year. And then at the end of the year, I know I have to work on strategic planning with them because they're planning for the year to come. You guys should know what your clients or potential clients are doing at different phases of the year so that your content that consistent content you're putting out is intentional to be able to understand where they are. And that's why it's important too to really create a very detailed client avatar, right? Or client persona, right? You really need to understand not just they're male or female, what their ages are, what their education is, but what are their challenges? What are their buying habits? What are their comment objections, right? What are they struggling with outside of just what you do? Because that sometimes interferes with how they spend their money. So all of these things are things that you need to be actively thinking about as you're starting to nurture clients and really move them through the client journey. Now, last but not least, I promised I would help you use some systems and tools to get these things done because it is a lot. I'm not going to pretend it is not, but I'm very transparent with you guys understanding that business takes work, right? If you've ever come to any of my events, whether it's a podcast or if it's a masterclass or if it's a bigger summit, I never bring people on that try to tell you that you can get, rich quick, that if you just give 5 hours a week on your business that you can make millions. Like that's just not real, right? If it was, then shoot, I would love to do it, but it's not real. Business takes work, it takes effort, it takes consistency, doing lots of things to make sure your business is growing and scaling. So with that, and we all kind of understand that this is the case, what kind of systems or tools can we put in place? Well, one of the main systems that I would really encourage you to think about is, or I shouldn't say system, a tool or software, is getting a CRM, a customer relationship management tool. In those tools, they actually have, in a lot of systems, it's called like a pipeline, but it's basically your client journey, but it's mapped out. And you can visually see where potential clients are along the path. And then once they become a client, you can see the work you're doing with them, and your team can also see it too. So it may say something like inquiry, right? They kind of got into your ecosystem some type of way. You can see that you followed up, they booked a call, you followed up, they signed a proposal, they you started planning their project, you onboarded them, you finished, you archived. I'm just kind of thinking of a quick one. But yeah, it has that kind of mapped out for you. In most CRM systems, you can customize what that journey looks like. This gives you a visual representation, but also an automated representation. You can actually put in there what we call workflows that say, hey, if the person does A, then this is the next step. But if the person does B, this is the next step. So that you're not constantly being like, okay, where is such and such? Jamal was here yesterday. Where is he today? This is a tool that can help you. And there's a lot of affordable CRM tools out there. I love HoneyBook, but there's Dubsado, there's HubSpot, there's Keep, and tons more. I would really suggest that you kind of look at these tools, especially because Black Friday is about to pop up. They always go on discount. I have an affiliate link for HoneyBook. I'm trying to think if I have any more, but definitely HoneyBook in case you're interested. But a lot of them have free trial periods or free plans that you can play with and see if it's going to work for you, right? And there's a few things to think about when you think it's going to work for you. Can you actually utilize it? Like I'm going to be honest. I can't stand HubSpot. It's a great tool. I just really am not great at using it. right? And the team members that I have don't like it either. They're like, it's not super user friendly. But I've had some clients who have used it before they got with me and they love it. I'm like, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, keep it. But make sure it's something that you aren't going to hate going into every day, because this is a big part of your business systems. Okay. So find your CRM. Also, for those of you who are emailing, find an emailing platform that you like. Right? You could do. There's some affordable ones. There's Mailchimp. There's GetResponse. There's ConvertKit. There's Flowdesk. And then depending on what else you do, you can find some kind of all-in-one systems. Like we email through Kajabi because it also houses a lot of our e-products and our websites and things like that. But yeah, figure out where you want to email from so that you can set up those things to be automated. Okay, so that's another kind of tool or system. Also, you probably want to invest in kind of a project management software that can help you outline some of these projects, because you may have a different kind of client journey for different types of offers. So there may be a specific client journey for an event that's different from a specific client journey for a low ticket offer or something like that. So make sure that you have a place where you can kind of plot these things out, let your team members know, and be able to tweak as needed and kind of plan them out, because not every client journey is going to be one that you use every single day of the year. All right, so we talked about emailing, we talked about CRM, that customer relationship management tool, also social media, right? I keep telling you, be more consistent on social media. Well, how are you going to be more consistent? If you're already tired now, posting 3 times a week, you may need to batch things up. So a great tool is obviously Canva for creating these graphics. It creates lots of cool stuff, but for the purposes of this conversation, it's great for graphics. But you could also utilize something like a CapCut for video editing, right? So now you have these assets, you got videos, you got graphics, but you don't have time to be putting them in every day. At least I don't. It doesn't matter how much materials I have at a finger's touch of the mouse. If I had to post it every day, it's not getting posted. But you can use a scheduling software. I know some of the new business owners are like, how are these people constantly posting? It's because we're scheduling. You could use something like a Hootsuite. Canva has a posting element. I think some of the website platforms actually have posting as well. Wix or WordPress, I think, does. And then also we use later.com, later.com. And it allows us to schedule on all the major platforms and schedule to our stories. And I will kind of give you a little kind of back end piece of advice that you may not be aware of. A lot of these platforms do not post to private pages, not private pages, but like personal pages. So say you have a personal page that's just your name on Facebook. A lot of the scheduling tools will not schedule to personal accounts, but they will schedule to business accounts. So be mindful of that. So that's another way to be consistent. Now, if you're having these like webinars and all the extra things, then you may need different tools. We currently use StreamYard. We use it to stream. Right now, you're watching me. I'm using StreamYard. But there's Restream. There is, what's the one on Mac? I always forget the name of it because it's awesome, but I can't access it because I don't use any of those products. Ecamm, that's what it's called. You got Ecamm, StreamYard, Restream, and then you're doing like webinars and things. There's Webinar Jam. There's another one that says webinar something in it too. But these can be integrated into your social media. So if you are trying to get people to be led to a webinar, some of these you will be live doing it. Some of them will be what we call evergreen, where people can just go and they may think it's live or they may see it's pre-recorded and they can have direct immediate access versus having to wait till whenever you're going to stream it. So basically, look, if nothing else you get out of this, there is a tool that can help you do any part of that client journey. You do not have to do it every day, all day by yourself manually, right? And if you have a specific question about a specific platform or a part of your client journey, feel free to reach out, guys. Feel free. And people do, they will send me a link, and not a link, but they will send me a DM, they will send me an email, and they'll be like, hey, what do you think about this platform? I'm like, oh yeah, I like it, or I haven't heard of it, or no. There are some no's, but I don't tend to mention those. And you don't need to go out here and buy a ton of software, a ton of systems and products and things, because a lot of these do more than one thing. So let's take GetResponse, for instance. GetResponse is mainly a emailing platform, but you can also create like unlimited landing pages. I think it does a little e-commerce as well. So be mindful of that. I think MailChimp even will let you have your website up there. My biggest tip when it comes to that whole figuring out like which software you need, besides can you use it and can you afford it, is what are the biggest parts that you need done, right? And then once you pick those tools, what else can they do? Cool, check those off. And then whatever's left, find a software that does that isn't going to be super pricey. And the reason why I say that is because most of us have multiple platforms, but sometimes there's a bit of an overlap, right? So for instance, we use Kajabi for a lot of stuff. We have our website, we have our blog, our podcast, our emailing, all kind of things there. But our CRM also does some emailing as well, and also Kajabi does landing pages. So it does some of those things as well, but it is not mainly for that. And so I find that if a platform is not mainly for a specific thing, whatever else they have usually isn't necessarily the same caliber as a platform where that's their jam, right? And I'll give you an example. So Kajabi allows you to have websites. When we work with clients who are moving from like a Wix or WordPress, which is a website based product that also does some extra things, some of the fancy things that they do with websites, Kajabi can't do, right? And it's usually not a make or break thing, but it's stuff to note. Like the platform that you pick, whatever it's mainly for, it's going to do really, really well. And then usually the quality starts to dwindle for the additional bonuses that they have, right? I'm not saying they suck. They can be used, but just keep that in mind, because sometimes you will go out and buy this platform that says it does all these things, but it doesn't do all these things really well. And then you're not able to really do the stuff you need to do, like create workflows and pipelines and funnels and all that fun stuff. So just be wary of that as you build these tools out, because these are going to help you automate and get that time back so that you can work in your business more instead of working on your business constantly. So that's some things, and I know we went a little deep tonight, but I wanted to make sure you really understood that the first thing is identifying that client journey so that you are able to connect with them and build that know, like, and trust. But once they get in your ecosystem, you really need to have things in place that are automated to continue to nurture them. Because if you think you're going to have time to nurture each and every possible lead you get, you are not. Right? You're not. The quantity is going to get higher and higher, and you are going to be burnt out. You are going to be at the max of your capacity. You're going to be stressed, and you're going to be wondering, why is my business not growing? Why is it plateauing or dipping down? It's because you are overextending yourself for something that there are tools for, right? And then I didn't even talk about AI today because we just came up an event and there was a lot of AI stuff in that. But AI can also help you create these plans. So you can talk to something like a Chat GPT or a Copilot or Gemini and say, hey, I'm really struggling with nurturing potential leads, right? I'm getting leads, but they're falling through the cracks, as the journey continues. Can you help me find these gaps in my client journey and then create a plan to make sure that I don't lose as many clients throughout the journey, right? And that's just kind of a overall prompt, but you can, detail it a little bit more for yourself. Make sure you teach your AI about you before you throw that prompt in there, but it will help you. It'll ask you, and you can even tell it, hey, ask me questions to learn more about my current client journey and my goals around my business so that it can really kind of understand, and it can even create a visual. I don't have one to show you at the moment, but I've done that, even in the last couple of months, kind of went back and looked, and I had ChatGPT create a visual pipeline for me to say, okay, if people do this and they do that, so I can see it, and then I can share it with my team so that they understand what it is that's in my mind and what I think is going to happen. And then, of course, test it and see, is it really happening the way you think it's happening? Are you seeing an uptick in conversions? If you're seeing a downtick, then something's wrong. You can go back and look at it. But this will help. All right. So it's not just about, I have a lead magnet and I'm done. It's okay. What is the goal? Where are we trying to get clients to? How can we ensure that they get there? How can we ensure that we don't lose a ton of people along the way? All right, guys, look, I think, how did we do with time? Oh, we did. I talked a long time. I'm sorry about that. Yes. So we are all done for today. I will say, if you were not at the Implementation Lab Live this past weekend, you missed out. We had a ball. We did 2 full days of implementation training. I brought in, I think it was 14 experts that talked about systems. They talked about wellness. They talked about mindset. They talked about project management tools. They talked about AI and so much more. And people were able to really create a plan to implement what they need to do in their business over the next 12 weeks. I'm big on like, we ain't gonna worry about stuff for a year from now, but like what they need to implement now. They learned how to prioritize. They learned how to kind of have discernment around what things were urgent and important versus things that they didn't need to work on. They got their CEO mindset in check. It was such an amazing event. I've been getting some really great feedback from the individuals who were there and from the speakers. And guys, if you missed it, but you're still interested, feel free to put upgrade in the chat and we will send you a link to get the VIP because VIP is still open. We actually, I don't even think they know yet, but we are extending it till the end of the week. It's only $97 and it gets you all of the speakers replays. It gets you the workbook that you can actually plot, jot down your notes for implementation. It also gets you all the podcast videos from the speakers, so you get even more value there. And it gives you, each speaker gave us a VIP gift, a very good VIP gift. So you have those resources as well, because those resources help you be able to quicken your implementation process based on the area that they were focused on during the event. So I'm super proud of everybody who was a part of that event, whether they were attendee, whether they were the speaker, whether they were part of my team. It was amazing. We hadn't done an event of that scale in a while, but it was really, really great. We're definitely going to be hosting more events, not as big all the time, because that was like, I think when I went back and looked, it was like 15 hours. I was like, whoo. But we will be having more events. I plan to bring some of the speakers back to do master classes in the new year, especially our AI folks, because I know that you guys want to know more about how to get time back in your business, especially if you're not ready for team. But we also talked a lot about outsourcing on a budget, right? And so we talked about some do's and don'ts. We talked about some different ways to get things done when it comes to outsourcing. So all of that is in the VIP. If you're interested, again, just put VIP or upgrade in the chat. We will get you that link. But again, just thank you to everybody who participated. But that is it for today, y'all. This has been great. We will be back next Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And remember, guys, I rock, you rock, we all rock. And I will see you guys next time. In the world of service-based small businesses, success isn't just about what you offer. It's about how you showcase it. Welcome to iRock Marketable Business Solutions, your partner in marketing excellence. We understand that as a small business owner, you wear many hats, but marketing doesn't have to be one of them. At iRock, we offer a range of marketing services designed with your success in mind. Our team is your team, working seamlessly to bring your vision to life. Imagine having a partner who can turn your ideas into captivating visuals. Picture content that resonates with your audience and drives engagement. Think about a brand that reflects your uniqueness and leaves a lasting impression. With iRock, you don't just save money, you get more bang for your buck. Our services are budget friendly, so you can invest in growing your business. And we're all about consistency, no more false starts. Ready to take your marketing to the next level? Discover how we can make marketing easy, affordable, and consistent. Unlock the full potential of your marketing with iRock Marketable Business Solutions.